Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. I'm doing a Peter Like show today because I had some good results of networking with people today. And I knew it would come because every time we have a lunar eclipse, not long after that, I make some new friends. And I decided to go to a meetup that wasn't really in my normal hobbies today because of the lunar eclipse 2 nights ago. And I did really well. I had a good conversation with somebody there, and I'm glad that my astrology is still predicting things correctly. Lunar eclipses often get associated with making new friends. Solar eclipses usually correspond to career pivots, right? We had a 2017 solar eclipse. I went to Salem, Oregon to see that one. Not long after that, I started my teaching career at Washington Technology University. Right now, I'm in Central Arizona College as well as the Maricopa College system. And then 2023 and 2024, we had two solar eclipses. And during that time is when I pivoted to my art projects. I like to think the 2023 one was the pivot into metal casting, and the 2024 one was the pivot into the paintings, right? And so every solar eclipse, I have a major career pivot, and every lunar eclipse, I have a major friendship pivot. That's been my trend as of late. And then there are some bigger ones that are less common. Every time Jupiter and Saturn come into conjunction, it translates into a new kind of living situation. Let me explain. 2020, Jupiter and Saturn came into conjunction. I obviously moved out to the Rocky Mountains. 2000, when Jupiter and Saturn came into conjunction, my younger brother was born, and I also started college part time. And so I was hanging around different people, and also at home, I had to learn to share the house with my younger brother. So Jupiter and Saturn coming into conjunction usually correlate to big shifts in living arrangements, right? Where I live, who I live with, right? Who I live around with. When Jupiter and Uranus come into conjunction, this happens every 13 years. That usually corresponds to major stresses in my life that start entire new chapters in my life. So in 2010, when Jupiter and Uranus came into conjunction, I had just gotten into a really rotten relationship with a girl. She was taking advantage of me financially. And around the time of the conjunction is when I broke up with her. And I decided that I could have my romance without a girl, actually. I went out on a date with myself for the first time around the time of the conjunction. I had a really good time. And I proposed marriage to myself. And that was good. Now, unfortunately, Jupiter and Uranus came into conjunction again this earlier this year, and it was around the same time that I discovered that a relationship with myself has a number of perils. I had gotten very ill working with some metals, and also I developed long COVID for some time just before that as well. And I discovered that when you marry yourself, it's like you and your spouse always get sick together. You always lose your jobs together. You always run into other financial difficulties together. You always, anything that could be good or bad always happen together, right? You always graduate from school together. You always, if you drop out of school, you'll both drop out at the same time. Although one big benefit is you'll both die at the same time. You won't be widowed, right? I didn't think about that one yet, right? But I ran into all the bad stuff that happened together, obviously. And that's when I decided that I needed to go out and meet the right person. And so when Jupiter and Uranus come into conjunction, that's when my relationships flip flop, right? I go from solo sexual to heterosexual and back again every time we have a conjunction. And so Jupiter and Neptune came into conjunction in 2022. I'm not sure what that corresponds to because that doesn't happen very often. Uranus and Neptune came into conjunction in 1993. Obviously, most of us will only see, if we even get to see one, we get to see one of them in our lifetime. So it's hard to correlate that with anything. But right now, just after lunar eclipses is when I tend to make a lot of friends. So I'm really going to have to strike when the iron is hot and try to get myself out there, even if I have to go to a club that's not in my realm of hobbies. But Jupiter and Uranus is the one that often gives me the most trouble. I suspect that the next time Jupiter and Uranus come into conjunction in 2037, that will probably correspond to my midlife crisis. If this one didn't, right? It's still hard to say if this isn't the beginning of my midlife crisis with the art projects and with everything that's going on, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Like Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Like Show. Bum 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 bum.